everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video. So today I got a special one for all of you to see. Some really cool accessories going on the RMAX finally. I've had them for quite a while and it's time. I got to get them on. Finally, I've been pushing it off a little bit. Just I've been waiting to get them. So what I got for this machine today is I got some tender springs and mainsprings from Schmidty Racing. So we're gonna hook these all up, put them on the machine, get rid of these sagged out QS3 Fox springs and this tender spring that's doing a whole lot of, let me tell you, nothing. It's probably doing something, but I want to do a little bit more. So we're gonna go ahead and change that out. And something else that I got that's really freaking awesome, these awesome arch control arms from Super ATV. They say they're gonna give me 1.5 inch clearance throughout because sadly, for some reason, these RMAXs come arched in the front, but then in the back, they're like, they slacked on me. They slacked on all of us. Non-arched in the rear. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that changed out. But all right guys, stay tuned. I'm gonna get the rear skid plates off and get an actual true measurement for you, so you can see what the height that we're getting right now. And then when I get the other control arms on, I'll measure again and show you then. All right guys, I'll just quickly zap those off. What I'm gonna do here, give you some rough measurements. So right by the bolt side, we're looking like we're 13 and like 9/16. By the shock, we're 11 3/4. So this side should probably be the same. Yeah. Right about the same. The overall ground clearance in the back here is we're a little sagged here. Got some weight in there, and also these springs are known for the sagging. We're 13 5/8, right on the money. So I'm gonna get the wheels off and get these control arms off and get the new ones on.
I don't know if that's hot enough. It may not be. If it's not, I'll take it back in.
Oh, this is plenty hot. Tea time. Gotta love when Nana brings us out of tea. Hey guys, well, I got the control arms on. They look fantastic. The fitment of them was pretty darn close. I just had to, as you see, but from all my previous rides, I just hit these a little bit, ground them down. So I just had to open it up a little bit just so I could fit those in nicely. Otherwise, that was the only thing I got to say about them. I hope when I get the rig down on the ground, that grease zerk down there, I'll be able to access it a little bit easier. Normally that's how it was. Otherwise, I'm pumped to see the ground clearance difference. I made sure the main nuts were loose, well, tight, sorry. And yeah, and obviously I know I'm gonna have to take the shocks off to do the Schmidty Racing springs, but that's okay. I want to do this comparison first because supposedly the springs are also going to give it quite a bit more lift. Obviously that's not what I'm doing it for. That's just a little secret benefit of these springs. I even contacted Schmidty Racing and I asked them about ground clearance and whatever like that, and they're like, listen, we are not doing this for ground clearance. We're doing this for purely ride handling, bottoming resistance, and to basically have your spring showing like 70% instead of 30, because these springs stock only show 30% of your internal shock, or your internal shaft here. So I actually was going to try and get the Bandit tender springs and just do a simple thing, but you know what, I said I want this machine to handle, you know, more like the razors and whatever, those dedicated sport machines. It handles really well already, but the whoops, I find it bucks really hard, and I bottom it out once in a while. Like, it's a heavy machine, so I wanted to do something a little different. It's pretty expensive to get them, but price isn't a virtue. I wanted to make it 100%, so stick around. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing back on the ground and measure it up and see what kind of ground clearance that we gained just from the arch of the control arms, and see how well Super ATV did. Now that looks better. Looks like Super ATV ran these control arms with the OEM springs completely flush with the bottom frame. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but with the whole bottom section here, so that it's almost perfect, and then as soon as it gets to the edge, they flatten out. What a fantastic job they did on that. Like, that looks great. I love it. Let's just see how well they hold up. They match the tube design of the OEM, so you know what, I like that more than the original style. The original ones were quite like channel-y and squared, so I'm not the biggest fan. But you know what, these things, for what they are, they're freaking beefier than all heck. But you can see I was just thrashing the crap out of these before I got the skid plates, and sadly now I have no use for these skid plates. So if anybody wants some skid plates, I'll ship to you. So just let me know. They're a little bit dinged up, but you know what? It'll be a cheap set of skid plates. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get some measurements for you. Holy moly. Looking like we're 14/7/8. And I don't know how you want to look at it over here because of this big gap in here. But once we start hitting that angle, 14 inches, we're on a 13. That's a big difference. It's a big difference. That should help get some different angles and hopefully not bottom out as much. Wow, that's awesome. That's freaking amazing. Perfect. Well, now what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and take these springs off. I'll take the shocks right out, and we're going to change this machine completely. This was already a big change. Lots of more ground clearance. Instead of having those arms come down like this right into there, we're going to put these, you guys can see what I'm talking about. So what Schmidty Racing says, from here down to the bottom, you're showing 30% of the internal shaft. And what Schmidty Racing wants to do is they want to put enough spring in here, a true dual rate. So this system right now is not a dual rate. This is a dual spring, same rate. Not a dual rate system. Dual rate systems are a lot more complicated, but Schmidty Racing's got it down packed. Once I get them in and test them, I'll be able to give you more of a feedback on that. But as of right now, guys, stick around. I'm going to jack this thing back up. Probably leave the tires on since these are so darn accessible now. Just pop those off and get some new springs in. One thing I failed to mention at the beginning of the video that I wanted to let you all know, I've had a couple questions. If I've ever done any mods to the engine and or clutching to make these 32s work a little better. I haven't done anything. She's bone stock. She's got a brand new belt in it. Just when I did my transmission, when the transmission failed on me, Yamaha was like, here's a belt, take the belt. So now I have a spare belt in that one. But like everybody knows, in America, which I'm in Canada, America has a 10-year belt warranty on these units. Don't know why they don't offer them in Canada. I think that's a pain in the butt, because if they did, I would take full advantage of that. But just knowing that they offer a 10-year belt warranty on these Yamahas is amazing. So let's just hope I get that life out of it. I ride pretty hard, but lately I've been trying to tone it down because I don't want to break any axles. Availability on axles is a pain in the butt. But yeah, guys, no mods. The only thing that I've done was just this spark arrestor. I put a different one on, the exhaust tip. That's all I've done for any kind of engine mods. And realistically, did I get a power difference? I don't think so. It just sounds better, and we all know when there's a little bit of sound difference, you're like, oh, it made more power, but I don't think she really did. All right, guys, I got the rear springs off. I got them in my little shop right now. So what I'm gonna do is take them apart, clean them up the best I can, and then go ahead and install the new stuff. So I just want to do a really big shout out to Schmidty Racing. They made this kit seamless. The instructions, very easy to understand, very easy to read. In my opinion, I am very mechanically inclined. That's my profession, being a mechanic, marine ATV technician. So, but they do it so easy. So right here, if you look at it, they just label it all for you. It's hard to see, but it says rear slider. And you got your other billet pieces here. Same with your other side. Rear main, 2 pieces. Same with the front. Obviously, once you find your rear stuff, then the leftover is going to be your front. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and get these things all torn apart and tidied up. Because they are hurting for a nice little service. Obviously, I'm not going to take them apart and recharge them or nothing. I don't have that kind of the nitrogen refiller. I believe that's what they're called. We're going to get these things all finished, clean, and then install the new springs and set up exactly how they want me to. There we have it. Sadly, all chafed up. Pretty typical of these OEM shocks doing this. Just glad that I was able to get to it sooner than later. Schmidty Racing provides this new aftermarket piece here so that it's a lot thicker to the OEM one. So you don't get that bind if you look inside. It's just much thicker. And then what that does is that separates your spring from actually rubbing on here, like so. So we're gonna get rid of that completely. Hopefully, I'm hoping that this guy, once he's on there, will separate that spring enough so that it doesn't cause that big problem. All right, I'm gonna get this all cleaned up, ready for some new springs. Make sure when installing your crossover ring, as they say in the instructions, apply blue Loctite to them. They're just small little Allen key bolts, machine screws, whatever you want to call them. And then that'll make it so you can set your adjustment. Here's the first guy you put on. Go ahead and just make sure that it's the rear. And I would like the label of the shock. Yep. There's the first piece. Second piece. Just like so. You got your rear. Make sure your label's up. Just looks nicer that way. Just like that. And now, I'm going to go ahead and install the bottom guy here. Alright, I just got the bottom piece on. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt to get that on, but it wasn't too bad. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and follow the adjustments that they tell me to do on here. So now that I've got the rear all set up, the first thing I'm going to do, as they mention here, so 9/16 exposed with the shock body at preload shown below. So on the top here, right up on the very top, I'm going to tighten this down, my preload here, to 9/16 of an inch. And then when I'm done that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the shock is fully extended, as it is here, shown in the diagram. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjust the crossover cap, the the crossover gap to 2.5 inches as described in the instructions. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but we're just at 9/16 of an inch, which is exactly what they're wanting on full extend, which it's just sitting here loosely in a vise. And now I'm going to go ahead and adjust the crossover ring to where they want it to 2.5 inches from the bottom, I guess the top of your spacer, your plastic spacer, up to the bottom of this. And then these I've already blue Loctited. I don't know if you guys can see any in there, but I went ahead and blue Loctited those, which is a medium strength, which they tell you to do that in the instructions. All right, I got it done. So I have them overlapping. I got 2.5 inches right in here, and then I got 9/16 of an inch right here. So this is the finished product. Their billet machine piece for the end. Just common sense. You don't want your gap to be right on that end piece of the spring, but it looks great. Say goodbye to these old QS3 springs and their chintzy pieces. I'll admit, sure, it was a good ride. It was all right, but for what I wanted out of my RMAX, I needed something different, and this is different. This is beautiful. I love the look of it. You know, for my color of the machine, the red and the silver, not really the best for my machine, but I'm okay with that. That doesn't offend me. That doesn't bother me. So I'm going to go ahead and set up all the other springs. This is the right one here. This is the left rear. Once I get these done, I'm going to go ahead and swap over to the front. But all right, I'm going to just kind of blow through the rest of these, make it a little bit faster, and then you guys can see the end result as soon as I'm done. Look who we got here. Mrs. Island Mudslinger decided to drop by. Hi, hon.
Hi.
What's going on?
Give me coffee.
Oh. Oh. You're bringing me coffees. I love me coffees.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Good. Your daughter hates drive-thrus.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Huh. Timmy's, because we're all Canadian here. How's the future of Island Mudslingers doing in here?
She's snoozing now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Snoozing. Snoozing. Oh. Well, guys, little update. The soon-to-be driver of the RMAX is just having a snooze. She's doing great. All right, we're gonna get back to getting those front springs all done, getting them installed. Guys, well, I'm just doing the fronts now. The rears are in. It looks fantastic. I love it. As my brother-in-law loves to say it, freaking fantastic. That's for you, Shane, if you're watching. But all right, so this is the little crossover ring. It's a two-piece, some little stainless, well, they look stainless, Allen heads, like I did in the rear. Take it apart. Blue Loctite is what they call medium strength. I got the front shock all apart. Here's all the old Yamaha stuff, so I'm going to leave that stuff there. I cleaned it up the best I could. Luckily, the fronts don't have as much chafing as the rears do, but luckily with these kits, wherever I put the pieces, they're probably still in here. The big spacers. That'll prevent all the chafing, which is just awesome. That's good job, Schmidty Racing. All right, so as the manual says, it says 1 7/16 inch distance in here is what they want. So I got 1 inch, 1 7/16 inch. So we're adjusted at right now. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and adjust the crossover ring to 2 3/4, right from the bottom of this guy here. You'll see it right inside there. And that's what I'm going to kind of measure. So I got a little bit of movement to do. I'm going to get her set up. Alright guys, so I got one spring done and I got the other one here that's not done, and I want to show you guys a comparison. So what I got here is, here's the Schmidty one all set on to the front. This is my front left. We got everything adjusted, an 1 7/8 inch here and 2 3/4 in here. So with all this, it's all set up exactly how it's supposed to be. The machine will obviously sag it down a lot more, but there's the leftover thread. So here's the other front. So we got tons of extra thread, which is obviously because we got the space to use it, right? So here we have almost 6 inches of leftover thread, and over here we have 1 7/8 inches. That's how much of a wasted spring that they're giving us from the factory. So these Schmidty these Schmidty racing springs almost use the entire shock, which is the shock body, which is way better in my opinion. Yep. I'm sure they make better tools for this stuff, but they're just pretty simple. Once you get them loose, they almost move no problem. So please, no criticizing. Let's go like this. Set the wood down. Oh, shock that way. Say goodbye. Bye-bye. See you never. All right, so looking at this, I'm gonna go ahead and give her a nice wire brush, clean all that, clean all this crud off. Get her looking a little more clean, a little bit nicer. There's our bump stop that I hope we never hit again, because they were down there and I was hitting them all the time. Darn RMAX. Should I say Fox, or whoever decided to put these little boogers on there. Okay, well there's your basic teardown of these shocks. Extraordinarily simple. Oh, you can see a little bit of chafing from that the spring, but like I've been showing in all the other ones, we got all these new spacers that are going to make that a lot beefier, and so it doesn't hit, which is freaking awesome. All right, I'm gonna get this all back together, and you're gonna see us next when we got it on the them all on the machine. All right, guys, so we got the front springs all done. Everything's in. She's sitting way taller than before, so we're gonna see if she's gonna fit in my garage. But let's go to the back of it, and I'm gonna give you guys a quick measurement of what we're at now. So now, right off the hitch, what we got? We're like 17 inches and 1/8, if you count that much. Over here, right on the nut, 17 inches and 1/4. We're around that 15 3/4 right in here, depending. So we used to be like this, so now we gain all that. So I believe before we were around that 14-inch mark right off the hitch. Now we're above 17 inches, and that's also, I've only got 8 pounds in the tires, but they got a little bit of a droop to them, but not too much at all. So That's where all my ground clearance is. So that's the ground clearance. 32s, Super ATV control arms, Schmidty racing springs adjusted to their spec. It can also be a little bit moved around if I want to move it, but I gotta ride it first, see how it is. Let's go check the front. So sadly, I never gave you guys a measurement of what the front was. I completely blanked out. It's been a busy day. But all right, let's just take a quick little look here. Get a rough idea. Yeah, so the front it's not that much more. The rear has gained so much more compared to the front. The front's 14.5 right off the bottom of the skid plate. The control arms are around that 16-inch mark, right in the gap. 14.5. Well, it's likely the same on this side. So we've gained about the 1.5 inches to 2 inches of ground clearance. So I'm ecstatic. I'm extraordinarily happy with it. I can't complain. Money well spent. Beautiful looking springs. We'll see what happens next time, I guess. Next ride, we got a big ride with another guy, another channel over in the mainland. And we're gonna go and put this thing to the test. All right, guys, I'm gonna go take her for a little ride and see how she does and just kind of get a feel for it. We got lots of snow where I'm at right now. It's all slushy grossness, but that's all right. I'll go bomb around. But hey, everybody, I hope you really all enjoyed. Please comment, subscribe, leave a like, ring that bell for new up-to-date content. I'm always thinking of new ideas. I got lots of big plans. As you guys see, I do a lot of stuff to my RMAX. I like doing a bunch of cool new things to it. So be sure to stick around, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But all right, guys, we'll catch you all out next time on the trail.